Good morning. Hi. So a brief few words. I think that once again we've been horrified and staggered by once again a brutal attack against the civilian objects in Ukraine. We've seen the numbers of rockets and drones used against Ukraine. We are able to calculate how much does it cost for Russia to issue such an attack against Ukraine. But once again, we have to ask ourselves a question. Aren't we ourselves a part of this problem? So far, no Patriot batteries that have been promised to Ukraine in Washington have been delivered. No new ammunition packages have been delivered since June. F-16s that have been delivered, just a couple of them are just being started being used. And what's the most important thing is that we did a rough calculation that out of the gas and oil that we're selling to Russia, EU is selling to Russia, Russia is able, out of the taxes that they get from the sales, they would be able to issue 6 such attacks against Ukraine. Just alone from that. Take into account that it's not just gas and oil that we're selling. So I'm asking again, aren't we part of the problem? Are we taking this really seriously? Should we really take measures that would stop these horrible events from taking place?
Are you worried that the Germans will cease to be the strong partners they used to be because of their budget discussions right now?
Well, everybody's worried. We understand that it's still a political stage, that it's negotiations that are ongoing, but I can tell you that Ukrainians are worried. The eastern flank is worried, because we all understand if Ukrainians are not getting the assistance that they have been promised, that is a door open for Putin to continue.
This meeting was supposed to be held in Budapest. Why was it necessary to move it to Brussels, in your opinion?
Well, I think that it's a clear sign that the countries, European countries, do not agree with Hungarian politics, international politics, the way that they conduct it, the way that they treat the presidency that they have. I mean, you know, they call themselves peace party or part of the peace party. I wouldn't agree with that. And I think that now in the room upstairs, we will have Russian party that is taking very clear stance to defend Putin, not Europe, not Ukraine.
There was a proposal pushing for more travel restrictions for Russian diplomats in the Schengen area. What's the state of discussion there?
So far, at least from national perspective, we are looking into this, how to implement it. From the information that I have is that we are able to implement it because it's a national authority question. The interest would be to have as large group as possible, even if we cannot find the European agreement. I don't think that we would be able to find a European agreement as per usual. But if the countries in eastern flank could address this issue, I think that this restriction could work. And to expand on it, basically, it would mean that Russians who do not have biometric passports, the diplomats who do not have biometric passports, would be limited. Their traveling within the Schengen area would be limited.
Why are weapons not going the way that European states especially?
Well, I think that this is very unfortunate, but we need to start asking very specific questions when the promises are being made. Because it turns out that when a country X promises an equipment Y, it appears that the equipment Y is unsuitable, is unusable, it needs repairs, it would take a very long time for it to be delivered. And as for example, during our discussions with Ukrainian friends, we find out that certain equipment that has been promised last year will only be delivered in 2027, even though the calculations and the promises and the announcements and the headlines have been in 2023. That the deliveries are being offered, and so much equipment is being flown in. But unfortunately, so many troops, the ones that are in the field, they are left to fight with whatever they have now. And it's diminishing. And as you know, Putin has reliable friends. You know, North Koreans, Iranians are able to resupply Russia with what they promised. So there's this difference. In some cases, we are creating a narrative, a good story to tell our citizens. You know, that we are fighters for what's good. But when it comes to deliveries, well, the story sometimes is very different.
The fact that there is this hesitancy, is that a message to Ukraine, a political message to Ukraine that ultimately needs to get to the table into negotiations?
I think that Ukrainians might read it that way, but there's another message, that basically Europe is prepared to lose. And I really hope that those people who make decisions not to provide Ukraine what is promised, they are preparing for the next stage of war. Because that will come.
What results are you expecting from the similar launch in Hungary?
Well, I think that Hungary has, really to come to understanding that it's an isolated party. It's not part of consensus. It's able to disturb a flow of European Union. It's but it's not a mainstream. It will never become a mainstream, and I can tell you that many countries in Europe are waiting until the reign of certain individual is over.
Ministre, gal galima lietuviškai apie tas raketas, kad Europos Sąjunga irgi investuoja tam tikrą prasme, tas raketas Rusijos, kurios paleidžiamos į Ukrainą. Gal gali įsiplėsti lietuviškai, ką turėtų?
Paprasčiausia matematika. Vien mokesčiai, kuriuos įmonės parduodančios Europai dujas ir naftą sumoka apie 6,6 milijardo eurų mokesčių į Rusijos biudžetą. Ataka, kuri buvo organizuota prieš Ukrainą prieš kelias dienas, kainavo apie 1,3 milijardo. Tai kitaip tariant, tokių atakų europietiškais pinigais galima suorganizuoti dar bent 5 atakas. Tai yra stiprus simbolis. Mes prisidedam prie to. Kiekviena raketa skriejanti į Ukrainą, joje yra 12,5% europietiškų pinigų. Čia mažiausiai. Ir toksai yra tiesiog apytikris paskaičiavimas. Bet tai yra svarbus simbolis. Ir mes tada šokiruoti esame, žiūrime, kaip baisu, yra vėl vaikų darželiai, civiliniai namai sunaikinti, mes prie to prisidedam. Tai reikia šiek tiek atsisukti veidrodį ir paklausti savęs, ką mes dėl to padarėme.
Sorry, the Vice President of the Hungarian Government Party said that the European Union is a coward to shut down the Hungarian presidency. What do you think about this statement?
Look, I'm not going to run after every Hungarian statement that there is out there. I mean, the message is clear. We're gathering in Brussels, and I think it's a right one. Thank you.
Do you think that European countries can develop themselves these long-range missiles beyond 500 target and provide to Ukraine next week?
Are they able technically, or?
Yeah,
I think so. Yes, of course. Europe has a strong industrial base, and I think that European Union could play a part in this as well. Getting companies together. As we have done in the past with airplanes, now that talks about tanks. So why not long-range missiles? Europe has to grow up muscle. There's no way around this. Sorry?
Can your country play a role?
Well, definitely. I mean, we're not known as a military-industrial base, but we have many startups that could play an important part. Let's say optics and so many other things that are used in guidance of missiles and so many other things. Definitely, I would suggest that French or Italian or German companies, would visit Lithuania more. Please do that.
Kuleva has called upon NATO states to also defend Ukrainian airspace, both with defense systems and with fighter jets.
Yeah, look, it's not a new proposal. You very clearly remember that it was one of the first asks by President Zelensky at the early stages of war in 2022. Even though it sounds like a joke, but we're protecting Russian skies more. Russian planes are better protected by the Western guarantees than Ukrainians. So I think that Kuleba is right in asking for some parity here. Okay. Thank you. Aš labai turiu.
Is